year. They won 17. And then Ed Cooley turning things around in midseason. Here's a team that's stumbling along, 3-15, and lo and behold, they're able to turn things around and win 10 games in the MAAC.
Well, Ed Cooley acknowledged that his team played better on the road than it did at home this season, but he's hoping for a change of that here this weekend.
And a change as far as the student section is concerned. They've got very good support here in the end zone, so it'll start sounding like a home court advantage.
Well, ever since this arena was built, which is several miles from the Fairfield campus, it has been a challenge to get the students here on a consistent basis, but you can hear that they are here tonight. Jonathan Hahn with the first bucket.
Trying to make an impact for their team, and they've started to embrace this team. And why not? As we said, you know, here's a team struggling along. They turn things around. Michael Van Scoik, the most improved player in the league, the biggest reason for their run, biggest reason why Loyola's been able to win back-to-back winning seasons has been to play Gerald Brown, first team All-MAAC.
Brown with his first two. Again, he leads the league in scoring at over 22 points per game. For Van Scoik, it's hard to believe that this Fairfield team has just him as a double-figure scorer. How can you succeed? How can you go 10-8 in the league and you only have one offensive option consistently? Well, everybody else chips in and does their part. Anthony Johnson, we've talked all weekend about the freshman in this league. Anthony Johnson, the top rebounding freshman in the conference, and likes to play above the rim.
And Doug, to answer your question, how do they do it with just one double-digit score? As we take a look at the nice alley-oop as the freshman Johnson gets it. Tell you what they've done. They've defended, and they've played exactly how Ed Cooley wants them to play. Slow the game down, shorten the possessions, give themselves a chance to make big shots late. And boy, has Michael Van Scoik had the ability to make big shots late in games. One of the reasons why they were able to win so many close ones.
Omari Israel, the transfer from Notre Dame, tries to get it to the sixth man of the year, Michael Tuck, who couldn't handle the pass.
And they're very content to take time off the clock each and every possession. Well, they've been able to get the tempo at their pace just about each and every game coming down the stretch. Keep it close and give themselves an opportunity to make plays late.
Anthony Johnson to Devin Johnson, and a chance for a three-point play.
The other thing they've done, Doug, is they've really executed out of the flex offense. Ed Cooley, longtime assistant to Al Skinner, both at Rhode Island and at BC. BC Eagles known for their flex offense. Said early on, guys were just running through things, not looking to make plays within the context of their sets. And as the season's worn on, they've figured out how to find good shots out of the flex.
And Rob, here's our series history brought to you by Pontiac, the official performance machines of the NCAA and of the MAAC.
As we said, Fairfield winning both of their matchups and doing a terrific job holding Loyola down, holding them to 62 points in their win in this building, and then just 59 on the road to their win in Baltimore against the Greyhounds.
Anthony Johnson and Devin Johnson, they are not related. Two very good-looking freshmen, though, for Fairfield. Van Scoik picked up his dribble, finds Greg Nero, the Stag who made the all-rookie team this year. Israel may have gotten a piece of that. Anthony Johnson passed to Nero, kind of an ugly set, and somehow Fairfield earns itself a trip to the line.
But don't worry, they like playing ugly at times. Anytime they can do that. Jimmy Patsos talked about energy, enthusiasm, the start of the game, and trying to get pace. They want to get up and pressure the basketball all game long. Well, they haven't scored it enough to get into their full court pressure.
Well, Nero was the big offensive weapon to start the season for Fairfield. He was averaging nearly 17 points per game after 6 games this year, but really has struggled to be able to even come close to matching that on a consistent basis as the year's gone on.
They kind of hit that wall that freshmen often run into in the middle of the season. Then all of a sudden, late, had a couple big games, and he's been fighting his way through a hip injury late in the season.
Shane James has come into the game, a senior reserve guard for Loyola.
There's the turnaround we've talked about, 3-15, and yet Ed Cooley remained positive with his team, and his team responded. Talk about turning things around. Hard to do in midstream, especially, Doug, when you don't have a guy stepping in or you change how you play. That wasn't the case. They just stuck with what got them going early on. Lost a lot of close games early, and then were winning those games late.
Well, Rob, you did a game for ESPN here in Bridgeport early in the season against Georgetown. The big boys from the Big East came, made the rare trip to the MAAC venue, and Ed Cooley's club tried to hang with the Hoyas. What do you remember from that game, and how are they different now than back in November and December?
Well, Van Scoik's the difference between early in the season and late, playing with a ton more confidence, but they played very well against the Hoyas. It wasn't a fact that Georgetown didn't play well. It was the opposite. Fairfield played very well to keep it around in front of a big crowd here that night. 5,600 fans came to see that game, and this building's got those type of numbers. It's a terrific venue for college basketball.
And we take another look at Gerald Brown in transition, getting his second field goal of the night and a chance for a three-point play.
Well, doing what he does best. Coming up with the steal. We showed in the graphic in our Star Watch, averaging nearly 2 steals per game, and then scoring it at the other end. There you go.
As advertised, the junior from Baltimore. Now with 5 points, as you see.
Here's the case where Loyola wants to get going. Brett Harvey, the freshman point guard, trying to get them out in transition.
Hassan Fafa has checked into the game. Van Scoik trying to go coast to coast over James, and he does it.
Oh, able to sneak a fast break. Certainly Fairfield, not a team that's going to rush it up the floor very often, but Van Scoik, recognizing that he had numbers, able to finish in the lane.
Brown somehow again left alone. This time he misfires off the front rim, and a rebounding foul. That takes us to our first media timeout of the night. Michael Van Scoik and the Fairfield Stags with an early 10-5 lead over Loyola.
Canisius College in the city of Buffalo, one of 28 Jesuit universities across the nation, offering more than 70 undergraduate and graduate programs in the liberal arts, business, and education. Canisius prepares graduates to become leaders in their professions and in their communities. Personal attention, internships, service learning, and co-curricular activities provide opportunities to expand leadership skills and launch successful careers and lives. Canisius College, where leaders are made.
It is time for March Madness on MSG. And indeed, it does sound good. And for the folks who have made the trip a few miles from the Fairfield University campus, they are hoping that the league's leading scorer, Gerald Brown, does not go off here tonight. And right now, the Stags with the early lead, 10-5. Jeshko Alujevic, the captain of the Greyhounds, has come off the bench into the ball game.
And a good three-point shooter despite his size at 6'8", so you got to get out and defend him on the perimeter.
And he has played well down the stretch of the regular season. Alujevic guarded by Marty O'Sullivan, the 6th man for Fairfield. Brown kicks to Fofana, and he couldn't get the dunk to go down, and the crowd at this end zone, all dressed in red, loves that.
You see his size and athletic ability, but not a guy known for his scoring.
Averaging just 3.1 points per game.
A good start for Fairfield. You would have expected that Jimmy Patsos' team would be the team coming in with a ton of energy to get things going. Instead, Fairfield feeding off the energy of the crowd here. They're the team with the quick start.
Brown fouled by O'Sullivan on the way up. O'Sullivan yelling at his teammate, the freshman Nero, who in O'Sullivan's eyes was the one who let him go by.
And Marty O'Sullivan has given him good leadership. The senior still has one more year of eligibility. Red shirt last year. But look at Gerald Brown. The 2 fouls. You and I, Doug, have been talking about it during the break. I do not remember the 2 quick fouls against Brown, but sure enough, that's what they've got on the stat sheet. That could be a huge factor coming down the stretch.
And also, if you're Jimmy Patsos, do you leave Brown in to just play it out? Michael Tuck back in, Amari Israel back into the game. This Loyola team with a 17-12 overall record, 12-6 in league play during the regular year. And now Brown will go out, and Marquis Sullivan, the dead-eye three-point shooter for the Greyhounds, back in. Sophomore from Westminster, Maryland. And you talked to Jimmy Patsos in your pre-tournament interview about the fact that he's done a much better job at making sure that that right fertile recruiting ground in the Baltimore D.C. area stays home at Loyola. Another dunk. That's the second one of the night for Anthony Johnson.
Well, Fairfield, as we said, wants to make it a half-court game unless Loyola's going to allow them to just run right through their press. Able to attack at the back end for an easy two.
Freshman from Lake Wales, Florida, makes it 14-6. And the defensive presence of Fairfield forces a timeout. And Ed Cooley nearly attacking one of his players in a good way, saying, way to go on the defense.
Well, as we said, he's been positive all season long. You know, it's hard to stay positive as a coach, Doug, when you're 3-15. I remember talking to him as we were heading into one of our broadcasts, a game against St. Peter's that got them off this night. You see the back end against the pressure defense, good ball movement to get the layup. And he was talking about, boy, oh boy, it's my first year as a head coach. We're 3-15. He said, seems like I've been the coach here for about 7 years. He was counting them in dog years back then. See the Stags doing a good job converting from the floor. 6 of 8. They've gotten a lot of easy shots and points in the paint. A lot of that's been at the back end attacking the basket against the pressure defense from Loyola.
Well, one of the things that Ed Cooley said was going to be an advantage for his team having the tournament here in Connecticut is that his guys can sleep in their own beds every night. Although for this game, that's not necessarily an advantage because Loyola slept in its own bed last night. Jimmy Patsos bringing his club up just today.
But they had to travel today, and certainly travel takes something out of you. But that's nothing new for Loyola. New for a lot of teams. You know, guys say they just got into town, but it's something that the Greyhounds have done throughout the year and have had some success with it.
Brett Harvey's runner is off the mark. Tuck sees the ball go through his hands back to Israel, and O'Sullivan standing there waiting for him. And it's called a blocking foul against O'Sullivan.
Now that is just an awful call. As you said, standing there, everybody in the building knows that this is a charge. You see Sullivan, even though he's sliding over, that's where he picks up the block. I take it back looking at it on the replay. Not quite as bad, but he's there. That should be going the other way.
Instead, Amari Israel, a junior from Rockville, Maryland, at the line shooting 2. And on O'Sullivan, that's his second foul. Shane James goes out of the ball game.
He's been hobbled a bit lately, turned his ankle against St. Peter's. And it's a Fairfield team that's been banged up a little bit over the last week. We talked about Nero's hip injury. Anthony Johnson as well with the flu. Hasn't practiced very much here in the last 10 days, but he's shown good energy here to start the game, as have all the Stags.
Keep an eye on number 1 in white, Gerald Brown, back in the ball game, playing with 2 fouls and defending here on the post.
Well, that curl pass into the post, one of the signature plays of the BC team. You run the flex, that little curl pass to get the ball into the post. The lost art of feeding the post with the bounce pass.
Israel commits the foul. That's his first and the 4th against the Greyhounds. Van Scoik bottled up, gets it away. Dangerous pass. Johnson missed the layup.
They did the hard thing. He went up and made a great catch, but then couldn't finish with the easy layup.
Brett Harvey from 20. Short. Tuck with the rebound over Hahn.
There's the Tuck rule. Coming in and throwing his body around. As we said, Michael Tuck, the MAAC's 6th man of the year, not afraid to give up his body.
Well, if he comes up and sets a ball screen, it's not a pick and roll, it's a tuck and roll.
All right, pretty good. I like that. Should have saved it for when he came up. And
I don't know if I'd remember it. Got to get it out. Stream of consciousness at this point. Blocking foul. There's a good look at Gerald Brown, who began his college career here in New England, playing just up the road at Providence College before transferring back to his hometown school in Baltimore.
He's a guy that can score it in a number of different ways. He'll step you out beyond the three-point line. Very good in transition, slash into the basket. Not afraid to post you up, as you saw on that possession.
Devin Johnson has gone out of the ball game for Fairfield. And we get our first look at Mamadou Shahate. The roll is good. Brown now with 8.
And let's see if Loyola can get anything done with their full court pressure. You see why Brown's playing with the 2 fouls. He's too important to this Loyola team on the offensive end. Got 8 of their 10 points here in the early going.
Nero tries to go backdoor. Nice catch by Johnson to give it to Shahate. Blocked by Tuck. It'll stay down at this end. Fairfield will keep possession.
Good execution out of the flex. You're overplayed. Go back door. Good delivery by Nero, but once again unable to convert.
Van Scoik to Nero. Banked it home.
Well, everybody runs at Van Scoik on the baseline out of bounds when you put the ball in his hands, and because of his shooting ability, he's able to find an easy shot for a teammate.
Greg Manning, a little used reserve guard from Alpharetta, Georgia, has come into the game for Loyola.
Stags closing out quickly out of the zone defense.
Brown lost his footing, still fired it up. And Loyola will keep the ball. Fairfield couldn't save it from going out of bounds. And there is Greg Manning, junior guard who averages fewer than 2 points per game. And like I said, has not gotten a lot of time for Jimmy Patsos this season, but coming in early here tonight in the MAAC quarterfinals. Van Scoik took it away, but couldn't control. Israel still stumbling around and eventually able to right himself and put it in.
Stumbling, bumbling, and scoring it.
Yep. First field goal for the 6'8 junior. On. Inside again. Anthony Johnson carving out some space, and the freshman from Florida now has 6 points.
I remember he said he came into the game the last couple of weeks. He's been suffering from the flu. He did practice yesterday and not showing any ill effects of the illness.
Sullivan misfires. Van Scoik up ahead. Shahate gathers, lays it up and in.
And again, it's Fairfield, the team that's running the break and getting out. Certainly their game plan coming in is not necessarily to attack, but they've been able to catch Loyola sleepwalking a couple of times.
Sullivan and Manning in the backcourt. Here's Brown finding the opening in the zone. Can't get the bounce. Van Scoik tries to save it. And the officials, I believe, will confer. As we head to break, it'll stay down at this end when we come back. Anthony Johnson off to a quick start. He has 6 of the Fairfield 20 points. We'll take a break and be back to Bridgeport right after this.
450 years of Jesuit tradition are woven into a Fairfield University education, an education characterized by academic excellence and service to the community. Fairfield's success is fostered by a caring faculty that knows their students as individuals. Located just an hour from New York City, Fairfield University combines a park-like campus conducive to learning with the city's cultural and career advantages. Fairfield University, where education reflects the challenges and opportunities of a changing world.
Good hustle before the break shown by Fairfield senior guard Michael Van Scoik going up and over the scores table. And watch the gentleman at the end of the table in the yellow hat, Ronnie Weintraub, get a little love from Michael Van Scoik.
And everybody around the MAAC knows Ronnie. There he is. The MAAC's #1 fan. Manhattan College's #1. Yeah, get a little high five. Nice job, Ronnie.
Well, bless Ron Weintraub. Yep. And the fact that he was so crestfallen after the Jaspers lost this afternoon. He loves the MAAC so much, he's a gamer. He's sticking it out. And Michael Van Scoik apparently appreciating the MAAC's #1 fan.
Van Scoik, a senior, and those guys have been around the MAAC. Everybody knows Ronnie. Not just the Manhattan College players, but everybody across the league.
For Van Scoik and the Stags, matching their largest lead of the night so far at 20-12.
They've been active out of the zone, able to close out quickly to shooters.
Alujevic can't handle the pass from Manning.
And because they're extending out to the perimeter, they've been able to find some gaps in the middle of the zone defense, just unable to make the catch on that possession.
Little used freshman forward Roy Buckbinder is in the game for Fairfield. The lob to Buckbinder, and he couldn't finish.
As if they brought him in for that play on the alley-oop. Tell you what, we've done 3 of their games. I think that's the first time I've seen him play this year.
I agree. Fofana, big fella down low, laying it in.
Well, this time he doesn't worry about throwing down the dunk. Instead, gets the 2 points.
Well, Fofana listed at 6'10", 270. And when he's got his momentum going toward the hole, not surprising, nobody steps in for a charge. There he is trying to stop Nero. And we've got a rebounding foul against the Stags.
Well, Fofana with his size can certainly be a big factor. You see the massive upper body and lower body strength of the big guy.
Ed Cooley in his first year as the head coach at Fairfield University. As you mentioned, he was an assistant coach from 1997 until last year at Boston College. That was after a year at URI, and he moved from the A-10 school to the Big East school, and now ACC school, under the lead of Coach Skinner. Brown kicks it out. Harvey touch pass James. Back out Harvey for 3. And he knocked it down with Van Scoik all over him.
And credit James making the extra pass to find an easier open look from 3 for Harvey.
That's the lead, back to 3.
Now James, a guy whose role has certainly changed here this year. He was a scorer each of his first 3 years. Now comes in off the bench to just run things and find shots for others.
Van Scoik gets his own miss and kicks it out to Hahn. Jimmy Patsos playing a little defense along the sideline.
He's guys on the sideline.
Look at him go.
Well, when Michael Tuck won the 6th Man of the Year award, he was the guy that stepped up to receive the award. I joked that a couple of the officials said that, yeah, he's the 6th man because he's on the floor all the time.
There goes Coach Patsos.
Oh, there's that energy and enthusiasm that we were expecting from his team. His team came out a little flat. Nothing flat about Jimmy Patsos, and that's what he's done. He's re-energized this Loyola program. Not just the wins, but even more impressive is how he's gotten excitement on campus and made basketball relevant again. He's looking for some,
someone to hug, someone to high five. I'm glad I'm on this side of the court.
My goodness.
Jimmy's a big man.
Oh, yes. And an active man on the sideline.
James hustles down the miss, but then has the pass taken away by Van Scoik. Missed the layup. Hahn pulls it back out. Fofana the rebound. Dangerous outlet pass. Hahn anticipated. Now the Greyhounds hold it.
And this is the pace that Loyola wants to play at. Fairfield at times has obliged. They got to make sure they regather themselves and stay with their game plan and formula that's been so successful during the turnaround. Here it is. Get yourself into the half court. Loyola in the midst of the 7-0 run because they've been running.
Whistle and a foul off the ball. We'll take a break with the timeout on the floor. Jimmy Patsos working hard. His Greyhounds back within a point.
What does it take to be a leader? A strong foundation to understand the challenges of our world. The vision to inspire others. The desire to make a difference. Jesuit education at Loyola. Preparing tomorrow's leaders today.
I know most of you just graduated high school last year, or maybe you've been working for a while, seen some things, done some things, but nothing has prepared you for what's going to happen now. We're going to set goals for each of you. Way up here, here, way up here. And then we're going to help you exceed them. Believe it. And when finished, you're going to have not just a degree, you'll be a different person. A better person. Welcome to Iona.
Aspire, achieve. Iona. Call Iona College at 1-800-231-IONA.
Fairfield has seen its 8-point lead whittled to 1 by Loyola. MAAC basketball fans, you can win great prizes in the MAAC Pathmark Slam Dunk program at your local Pathmark store. Now through March 9th, when you use your Pathmark Advantage card to buy select flavors of Capri Sun, Kool-Aid Jammers, or Nabisco single-serve tray packs, you are entered to win a Pathmark gift card and round-trip travel on JetBlue Airways, or a gift card from FYE. For more information, visit your local Pathmark store or log on to MAACsports.com. Herbie Allen into the game for the first time for the Stags, number 15 in red, as we take a look at our stat track.
See Fairfield shooting the ball extremely well. Got a couple layups out on the break. 3-point shot for Loyola, 1 for 6. And Fairfield's been able to get points in the paint because they've gotten out on the break and have attacked against the full court pressure against Loyola.
Anthony Johnson, Greg Nero, and Michael Van Scoik out there with Hahn and Herbie Allen. Nero off the nice feed from Hahn.
Now, terrific feed from Hahn. Hahn, the most improved player on this Fairfield team. And that's saying a lot with the point production improvement from Michael Van Scoik. But especially as the season's gone on, he's made better decisions with the basketball. One of the reasons why they've had the turnaround.
Alujevic hits the 3.
As we said, even though he's a big guy, you got to go guard him out at the 3-point line. 37% on the season.
We're tied at 22 apiece. Alujevic, the senior captain from Split, Croatia. Van Scoik on the kick out. Little long on that 3, and now Loyola with a chance to take the lead.
And defensive mistake by Israel. He doubled off Van Scoik, got away with one. Can't double off Van Scoik. He's too good of a 3-point shooter.
Brown, Harvey, Israel, James, and Alujevic. Nero to steal off the bad pass from James.
Well, he left his feet with nowhere to go.
Hahn drives around Israel, lays it up, can't get the roll. Wow. What a tip by Johnson.
He's brought the energy right from the get-go. You can see his athletic ability of the freshman.
The Johnson boys combined for 12 points already, and Fairfield back on top by 2.
Most of those from Anthony Johnson with his 8 points, and all of his points have been activity points. Tip-ins, getting after it on the break. He's done a good job.
2 slam dunks in there as well. Good ball movement by the Greyhounds. That time Allen got a piece of the pass. Shot clock down to 6. Israel's going to have to find Brown or somebody. Instead, he gives it to the red shirts.
Active hands from Fairfield. Get their hands on a couple basketballs on that possession.
Johnson this time from outside.
And that's a bonus if he's going to make face-up 15-footers. You can see why coaching staff very excited about the potential of Anthony Johnson.
And he's already passed his season average of 8.4 per game. Under 5 minutes remaining first half. The lead is back to 4 for Fairfield. Brown tries to drop it off. Israel can't control, but the Greyhounds will keep possession.
Anthony Johnson has had energy right from the get-go. Jonathan Hahn with a terrific drive, unable to finish it, but there's Johnson right there to clean it up. And as we said, this is a bonus. If he's going to step up and knock down 15-footers, something we haven't seen very much from Johnson throughout the season, then that's just a big bonus for the Stags.
Ten on the shot clock. Brown with Hahn guarding, pulls up from 23, barely nicked the iron, and he was looking for the foul that never came. Jimmy Patsos has just been told to go back to the bench. Brian O'Connell, the lead official in this ball game.
He's been known to stretch the coaching box every now and again.
You think? Sullivan on the board. That's a 2-point shot for the 6'1" sophomore out of Archbishop Spalding High School. He is from Westminster, Maryland. And how long till the jacket comes off? Actually, the tie's not even loosened yet.
Tell you what, you're a dry cleaner in the Baltimore area. You want to make sure he's dropping his stuff off, because each and every game he's got to dry clean everything. Shirt, jacket, pants, tie.
Get the Patsos business. Get that account.
Marketing staff there at Loyola, they're going to work on a sponsor.
Van Scoik off the fake. Nice left-handed leg.
And again, it all starts with the ability to knock down threes deep. Defense has to rush at him. Van Scoik has expanded his game. When he came in, he was basically just a catch-and-shoot guy, but now he can put the ball to the floor as well.
He was a prolific scorer of all types in high school at Glens Falls High School in upstate New York. But like you say, until this year, his game has not gone back to being more expanded until now. Nice reverse by Alujevic.
Now, terrific movement without the basketball. Good ball movement against the zone. Nice interior pass to find an easy shot.
Fairfield holding on to the ball with a 2-point lead. Jonathan Hahn guarded by Harvey. Van Scoik being chased all over the floor by Sullivan.
Literally chased by Sullivan, doing a good job keeping the ball out of his hands.
Hahn, nice kick to the corner, and with one on the shot clock, Herbie Allen buries it.
And that's a big lift for the Stags. Allen really struggling to shoot the ball, especially lately on the season, just 25% from beyond the three-point line. Last year, he was one of the top three-point shooters in the MAAC at 44%. In fact, he led the league last year.
Although keep in mind, Allen began this season missing 31 of his first 35 three-point shots. So he's done better the second half of the season. Speaking of very good three-point shooters, Marquis Sullivan at 44% buries the corner three.
He's a terrific three-point shooter. You got to rush at him and make him a driver. You cannot allow him to be a shooter.
He was a high school teammate of Rudy Gay, and you can imagine that with Gay slashing to the basket, Sullivan had himself a lot of open looks in high school.
Yeah, played for a terrific high school program, a terrific coach in Mike Glick at Archbishop Spalding.
We've got a timeout on the floor. We'll take a break from the arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
One 150 years of Jesuit tradition are woven into a Fairfield University education, an education characterized by academic excellence and service to the community. Fairfield's success is fostered by a caring faculty that knows their students as individuals. Located just an hour from New York City, Fairfield University combines a park-like campus conducive to learning with the city's cultural and career advantages. Fairfield University, where education reflects the challenges and opportunities of a changing world.
Gerald Brown holding his left shoulder as we come out of timeout. He and the Loyola Greyhounds trailing Fairfield by 2. The winner of this game will get Niagara in tomorrow night's second semifinal here at the arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Marist and Siena will play in the first semifinal, scheduled to tip off at 6 o'clock, and then again Niagara waiting the winner of this one.
Niagara split the regular season matchup against both these teams.
Brett Harvey guarded by Herbie Allen. Tuck trying to post up on Nero. Harvey to the cutting Brown, and a jump ball. Van Scoik able to tie up the league's leading scorer.
Fairfield's been active with their hands out of the zone defense. Also, when they match up and are in a man-to-man situation, Van Scoik with those active hands able to force the tie-up. Fairfield throughout the season has done a very good job of mixing defenses, playing man, playing zone, giving you different looks to attack.
With the shot clock winding down, Brown went one-on-one but missed the open three.
And what he's done is he's settled for a couple deep shots when they've isolated to go one-on-one late in the shot clock, as opposed to putting his head down and trying to get to the rim. Remember, playing with the 2 fouls, that's got to be in the back of his mind.
Sullivan rebounds the miss by Allen. Loyola down by 2 again with a chance to tie or retake the lead. Harvey for the tie, and he's got it.
Well, one of 5 starting freshman point guards in the MAAC. A lot of times we talk about everybody else, but Brett Harvey with a very solid freshman campaign.
Nero to the jump hook, and the foul called against Tuck.
Nero, a guy who's very comfortable in the post, a lefty. A little herky-jerky sometimes in the post. Awkward and hard to guard when he gets it there. See, right, trying to post up his body inside and going right to the jump hook with the right hand.
Freshman from Red Hook, New York. That's in the mid-Hudson Valley, not too far from Poughkeepsie.
As you said, Doug got off to a terrific start. His first 6 games, he was their leading scorer in each of those 6 games. He said he was averaging nearly 17 a game to start things off. That scoring average has come down throughout the year, yet still it was good enough to get him on the MAAC all-rookie team.
Well, he is the 2nd leading scorer on the year for Fairfield. You see he's got 8 tonight. He averages 9.2 per game. Gerald Brown glances back over at the Loyola bench for instruction from his head coach Jimmy Patsos. Driving on Van Scoik again. The big rejection into the Fairfield bench by the help defender Anthony Johnson.
And credit Van Scoik, he's been isolated one-on-one late in the shot clock against the best scorer in the MAAC and Gerald Brown, and he's been able to hold his own.
Anthony Johnson has provided a physical presence here tonight for Fairfield at both ends of the floor.
And you see good timing right there to knock it away.
So now 2 seconds on the shot clock, Rob. James into Israel from 21, and he hits it for the lead.
Amari Israel, not a guy that you would expect to knock down threes, but with just 2 seconds left to go on the shot clock, he was forced to toss it up. So Loyola able to find the shot late in the shot clock. Good defensive pressure as well. You see the defense right on top of Amari Israel.
That's the first 3-point attempt by Israel this year.
Yeah, both you and I scurrying through the stat sheet. I thought it was his first 3 of the game, of the year. Hey, I'll tell you what, though, that's nothing new. Fairfield, they won a game earlier this season as Mamadou Shahate was able to knock down his only 3-point attempt of the year at that point. Late in the shot clock, sometimes ball's in your hand. You just got to throw it up 4 threes here in the first half from Loyola, but certainly you don't expect it coming from Israel.
Jonathan Hahn with 5 seconds left in the half. Full head of steam, looking to get off a shot. Drops it off Johnson from 14. The tip by Nero rims off. And that's the end of the first half, but an entertaining first half it was. Gerald Brown, the MAAC's leading scorer, leads the way here tonight. He's got 10 points as he heads to the locker room with a 1-point lead.
And they head to the locker room with the first lead of the game, so the unlikely late 3 on the shot clock from Israel gets the Greyhounds into the locker room with that 1-point lead.
The Fairfield pep band plays on as we head to break. 34-33 Loyola here in Bridgeport.
A mid-season turnaround like they have, it's a player becoming eligible, somebody all of a sudden stepping in, taking advantage of more minutes, a change of style of play. It wasn't anything like that. It was just staying with what they do and staying with their game plan and having the confidence in it and having guys step up and contribute. And then, oh yeah, Michael Van Scoik, he was a big part of that turnaround as well. His confidence has shot up. His confidence in Jonathan Hahn's decision-making with the ball, the 2 other big reasons for the turnaround.
Oh, when Ed Cooley took the Fairfield job, he watched the tape from last year and what he said about Michael Van Scoik, quote, "I didn't see a confident young man. On tape, he turned down shot after shot. He has carried us just about every game, and clearly the confidence has come on in the second half of his senior season."
And I tell you what, you get confidence when early in the season your head coach is begging for you to score the basketball. And Nero able to finish inside with his left hand. Again, he's got the ability to finish with either hand around the basket. That's so important for post scorers.
5 quick points for Fairfield to begin the second half and retake the lead.
It's like a repeat of our first half when the Stags were able to get out, run, and score early.
Gerald Brown driving. Drop it off Alujevic. And it's back to a 2-point game.
Gerald Brown able to attract defensive attention, getting himself into the paint, and by doing so, able to find an open shot for a teammate.
And while Gerald Brown is a prolific scorer, he is not averse to passing to his teammates and involving them. Van Scoik for 2.
And now starting to execute out of the half-court offense. He's got 2 open looks out of their half-court sets.
And if he gets open looks, look out. He is a terrific shooter. Brown wrap around to Alujevic. Went up awkwardly trying to feel for the contact and missed badly.
And Van Scoik's a guy that can score it in bunches. Scored 14 points in the last 4.5 minutes the last time out against St. Peter.
Nice little up and under by Anthony Johnson, but he couldn't finish.
And Van Scoik doing a good job moving without the basketball, executing out of the half-court offense. Wide open look from 3. Good solid screen on the flare to be able to get the open look, and certainly Ed Cooley likes what he sees so far from Van Scoik. Talking to him earlier today, he said, "Boy, I hate to see him leave."
Yeah.
He said, "I'm really starting to
warming up to him."
Oh, yeah, he warmed up to him right off the bat. He said in practice even he's on fire. It seems like he never misses a shot in practice, and that's carried over to game.
Well, he has had the most prolific three-point shooting season in Fairfield history, past Greg Francis in the last couple of weeks. James with the finish.
And a tough finish as the defense rotating over. And on that, we've got a technical foul on the Loyola bench. And Jimmy Patsos, incredulous, trying to figure out where the tee came from. He's been riding the officials all game long at times. I think that, though, may have been for being out of the box and not necessarily jawing at one of the officials.
He had been warned in the first half at least once to get back in the box, so you're right, that certainly could have been cause. So now the best free throw shooter in the history of Fairfield University, Michael Van Scoik, goes 2 for 2, not a surprise.
Well, that's just like giving 2 points away. As we said, he was incredulous, saying, "What did I do?" You know, a lot of times he knows exactly why he got a tee. That time he was trying to figure it out.
Still up and working the official, Bob Adams, the nearest to Patsos at the moment. Right now his team down 4, and Fairfield with the ball. The Stags, despite being on their home floor, are in their road cardinal red uniforms with the black lettering and white trim because they are the 6th seed. Nero again very active, playing like he did at the start of the season.
And as we said, able to finish with either hand, taking it off the bounce going to the left.
Alujevic back to Sullivan. Nice catch and shoot. He almost put it through the rafters before putting it through the rim.
And Devin Johnson on the closeout just got there a little bit late, and if you're late getting out to Sullivan, you're in trouble. Second in the MAAC at 44% on the season from beyond the arc. If not for the terrific shooting of Harris Mansell, he would have led the MAAC.
Devin Johnson spins away from Brown. Alujevic stood his ground nicely and blocked it on the way up. Devin Johnson again. Terrific hard work for the freshman from Richmond, Virginia.
I'd say hard work, fighting through contact. Good defense initially, but looked like he got hit on the second finish.
6 points now for Devin Johnson. Back the other way, the answer.
Yeah, the answer, catch and shoot. You got to force him to put the ball to the floor.
Hard foul by James, and Johnson goes flying past the basket.
Well, now all of a sudden, teams start getting into it. The officials right on top of it to make sure that nothing else happens. That was a clear push from behind. That should be 2 shots and possession of the basketball. Not quite sure what they called.
Meanwhile, Jimmy Patsos again giving an earful to the officials. And having picked up 1 tee already, he must be careful here.
Yep, once again out of the coaching box.
Under the circumstance, though, a little leeway granted for him to come out of the box.
Brian O'Connell, the official, fine official, was right on top of it. Now the official's huddling up. And again, that was a clear push from behind. That should be a breakaway foul. 2 shots and possession. Let's see Ed Cooley trying to listen in. I didn't see the signal of that right off the bat, but once again getting together, and I think if do a good job executing the call here, I think it should be 2 shots and the ball. And here's why. You're going to see nice feet ahead, and watch this push from behind. There's Sean James, and tell you what, you got to protect players. Clear push in the back. You know, Ed Cooley, he is upset over at midcourt. And I think he's got a right to be upset.
Just reading Cooley's lips, he says, "Don't talk to me that way," is what he says to Patsos, and so the officials step in and make them shake hands. Patsos doesn't seem as upset, but Cooley really is fired up, and he pumps his fist at the student section and says, "Let's go."
I'll tell you what, though, he's got a right to be upset. A clear push from behind on that. That's got to be 2 shots and the basketball. You got to protect players. That's why the rule's there, to try and protect guys as they're running down the floor full speed. There's the officials getting together and trying to calm both of the coaches down, but certainly a little energy and excitement right there.
Well, we talk about the energy from the Loyola bench that Patsos brings. Certainly Cooley can match him. And he is realizing, let's get this thing fired up and keep this crowd into it as we head towards 11:15 on a Saturday night.
Now you've got to play with emotion, you've got to play with energy, but you also have to keep your cool and composure.
Hey, don't talk to me like that. And Jimmy says, don't talk to me as well. And Coach Patsos had been chirping quite a lot in that general direction, whether it was toward the refs or toward the bench of the opposition, we'll never know. But certainly Coach Cooley took exception.
All right, let's get back to some basketball now.
Absolutely.
Here we go. And Fairfield giving a little different look out of their zone defense, now going 1-3-1. Again, they've mixed things up so that you're not attacking the same defensive set every possession.
Harvey No, tipped by Israel to himself. And a foul against Evan Johnson.
Well, sometimes it's difficult to rebound out of the 1-3-1. Sarcastic smile there from Ed Cooley on that call. Thought it was all ball, but difficult to rebound out of the 1-3-1. You think about some of the college teams who play a lot of 1-3-1. Oh, you see right there, all ball on that. I'll tell you what, though, you know, when all of a sudden both teams are getting at it, Doug, and you've got some emotion and guys going at it, you know that the officials are going to have a quick whistle over the next couple of minutes to try and settle things down. You think about a West Virginia team that really struggles to rebound the basketball out of the 1-3-1. You saw it on that possession defensively from Fairfield.
2 free throws by Israel to pull it back to a 2-point ball game. 4 minutes gone in the second half. Van Scoik off the up fake, gets bumped by Israel, who is called for the hip check. And that takes us to our first media time out of the second half. A chance for everybody to catch their breath. We'll come back to the arena at Harbor Yard right after this.
It's a college in the city, a college in the country.
It's big.
It's small.
It's modern.
Traditional. It's Frisbee on the quad. It's big-time basketball at the Garden.
It's the best of all worlds.
Manhattan College. A world-class faculty and student body on a beautiful, quiet campus, minutes from the center of everything.
So come be a part of it. Manhattan College.
The best of all worlds.
Jimmy Patsos watching his Greyhounds of Loyola try to secure a spot in tomorrow night's MAAC semifinals, and they are in a good ball game. We started the day with a terrific showdown right to the wire between Siena and Manhattan. Then had a couple of one-sided affairs. Marist took care of Canisius, and Niagara eased past Ryder. But this one is one of those where you loosen the tie and settle in, because it's going to be a long rest of the night.
Yeah, good energy from both teams. Both teams playing with a lot of emotion. As we said, you got to play with that energy and emotion, but you also have to be able to keep your composure, and you've got to be able to execute.
Van Scoik, Hahn, Anthony Johnson, Mamadou Shahate, and Greg Nero on the floor for the Stags. This is Van Scoik. Shot clock at 15. Nero's been effective on the post, and he is fouled on the shot. He also took an elbow to the head. A lot of contact, and that's kind of the way it is every time Nero gets the ball on the low post.
We were talking before about the curl pass into the post. If you're going to run the flex, you've got to be able to deliver the basketball into the post. Jonathan Hahn gets down. Nice feed inside. Tom Davis, who is a guy that really got the flex going at BC. And if you ran the flex time and time again in practice, you were throwing that curl pass to start things off.
That foul on Tuck, number 3.
And a lot of different teams run the flex, all levels of basketball. But what Fairfield does is they run it so tight, just like BC does. At times there's 4 guys inside the paint when they're running the flex.
Sullivan, that one felt good off the fingertips, couldn't get it to fall. And there is Tuck getting the rebound off to Israel. Brown left alone, and we've got a whistle and a traveling violation on Israel before he was able to find Brown, who was wide open.
Well, Tuck was able to come up with the fumble. Loose ball on the ground.
Yep. So Fairfield gets it back, leading by 2. Anthony Johnson comes up to set the screen on Harvey if Hahn needs it. Brown, Tuck, Harvey, Sullivan, and Israel on the floor for the Greyhounds in their white uniforms. Van Scoik into traffic, off the glass and in.
Well, tough finish. Got himself deep into the paint, able to fight through some contact. Got to come run at him when he catches the ball off that curl screen. By doing so, he's got the ability to put the ball to the floor and get lanes.
Brown looked like he should have gone to the other side of the rim, missed it. He's down on the floor as Hahn goes to the other end and is fouled by Sullivan. And Brown, as you see, is slow to get up, holding his midsection.
Hahn trying to finish at the other end. Came up with a one-handed attempt out on the break. Gerald Brown still doubled over in their loss at home against Fairfield. He got sick late in that game. We saw him go out. He was suffering from the flu. After that game was over, trainers were running to get down there as he was dehydrated late in that game.
Little elbow from Mamadou Shahate that found him down below the waist.
Now it's been physical inside. Brown goes down hard.
And then
another
look at that.
Physical play.
It is getting chippy out there.
Yeah, and the officials have done a good job trying to keep things under control. Quick whistle. And we said that, you know, after there was the foul out on the break, they've done a good job of making sure they've been quick with the whistle to try and make sure they control the game.
So Brown will take a break as Hahn hits both free throws. It is now a 6-point Fairfield lead. The Stags did have an 8-point lead on a couple of occasions in the first half. At the intermission, Loyola had the lead at 1 point, 34-33. Thanks to an Omari Israel three-pointer just before the buzzer. Alujevic tried to find James, who was cutting to the basket instead. And it goes out of bounds back to Fairfield.
Good idea, bad execution. Second defender rotated over to give help side defense. If you make a good pass, he's got an opportunity to score it.
So Brown back into the game. Good to see. Alujevic goes out. 14:10 to go in the second half. The Niagara Purple Eagles await tomorrow night. Herbie Allen in the game now with the basketball for Fairfield. Here is Allen. Getting fancy with the ball. Lost it on the way up. Shot clock down to 7. Stags going to have to recognize here. Van Scoik with it. Home crowd helping urge them to shoot. Jonathan Hahn couldn't get the roll, and here comes Gerald Brown. 4-on-1. And the layup by James.
A nice execution by Brown, making sure that he drops it off. Last pass, a bounce pass. Able to execute out on the break.
As I mentioned in the first half, Rob, a lot of guys who score 22 points a game are not necessarily good teammates. Brown is. He does like to incorporate his teammates in the offense.
And Jimmy Patso's quick to point that out, and that Brown will do whatever his team needs for them to win. They need him to score most nights.
That time, though, Brown fell asleep defensively, cheated down in the paint, and lost track of Van Scoik.
And again, you can't cheat off of him. Depending upon who you're guarding is whether or not you're able to give help side defense and get yourself inside. Can't help off of Van Scoik.
The lead is 7 as Michael Van Scoik has now hit a couple of threes here in the second half. He is third all time on the school 3 points made list. Harvey into the paint, and he'll go to the line for 2. There you see Michael Van Scoik. We highlighted him at the start of the game in our Star Watch, and he is playing like a star down the stretch.
And this is why you can't help off of him. As you said, Gerald Brown got himself put too deep into the lane trying to give help side rotation. You can't rotate off Van Scoik.
And you know, for Van Scoik, he's 5th in the conference in three-point accuracy at 40%. He's the only double-figure scorer for the team. If there were other options on the perimeter, what kind of percentage might he shoot? I mean, that's how accurate he is. If he had more open looks, it might be off the charts.
Absolutely. If they had to worry about other guys spotting up, he'd have some more space to get off a couple more threes. But just like Will Whittington, he's got that real quick release. He does a good job when he comes off screens, curling and stepping right into his shot. See, both teams doing a good job converting from the line.
Loyola gets it back, down 5.
One of the few turnovers. I tell you what, despite the pace of this game, both teams have really taken care of the basketball. Just 8 turnovers combined in the first half, 4 so far here in the second.
Harvey picked up his dribble. He's the freshman point guard, and Shane James on the floor, the senior point guard. He had been the starter at Loyola the last 3 years, but now used in reserve, but on the floor here and with the basketball, which is usually the case in crunch time.
And against the man-to-man, Loyola running their flex. Once again, Sullivan, another guy that doesn't need a whole lot of space to get the ball out of his hands. Quick release from Sullivan. Talk about a silent assassin. That's what you get from Marquise Sullivan.
And it put a little damper on the noise coming from the Fairfield student section, which has been on its feet the entire night. Johnson with the ball screen. Hahn kicks back to Nero, spotting up from on the three-point line. It was behind, actually, so that is a three-point shot for the freshman.
And it's showing you confidence. Just 4 of 20 on the season coming in from beyond the three-point line. You would have thought he was more like 10 for 20 the way he pulled the trigger quickly.
Whistle to stop play because the net, after the Sullivan three-pointer the last time down for the Greyhounds, was still caught up on the rim. And with that stoppage of play, that takes us to our next media timeout. Ed Cooley's Fairfield Stags looking for the mild upset. But Gerald Brown and the Greyhounds trying to hold on to things. That was Marquise Sullivan. And here is Nero with the 3 for Fairfield University.
Welcome to Marist College, a liberal arts college bridging the traditions of the past with the tools of the future. Drawing inspiration from the historical, cultural, and artistic heritage of the Hudson River Valley, and supported by a unique partnership with its neighbor, IBM, Marist College holds fast to the timeless values of its rich heritage, while embracing advanced technology in the service of education.
We're back at the arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Quarterfinal number 4 on a Saturday in the MAAC tournament. And MAAC fans get into the game. Play the MAAC Text to Win Trivia Challenge powered by Verizon Wireless. All you've got to do is text the word MAAC to 2244 from your Verizon Wireless phone for your chance to win some prizes only from Verizon Wireless. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you.
Fairfield's been able to stretch the lead out.
Harvey guarded closely by Herbie Allen.
Tell you what, it's been a well-played game. Both teams shooting the ball very well. Just 12 combined turnovers. So good execution on the offensive end.
Brown off the up fake draws the foul.
Brown will head to the line for the opportunity to get his first points here of the second half. Had 10 points at halftime and has been stuck on that number.
Foul on Nero, his third. And Brown to the line. We are in Bridgeport, Connecticut. The men's quarterfinal of the Bank of America MAAC tournament. Doug Sherman along with Rob Kennedy. And you see the Fairfield Stags in there. Cardinal red jerseys. Michael Van Scoik is really heated up here in the second half.
I had just 4 points at halftime, but he now has 12 in the second half. And Gerald Brown with the first foul shot with his first points here of the second half. But Loyola able to get something out of their full court pressure.
But Sullivan couldn't make him pay. Brown on the offensive glass has it knocked out of bounds. And a little extra energy off of the made free throw.
Well, the press has not been very effective throughout the game for Loyola. Instead, Fairfield's handled the basketball. Just their 6th turnover of the game against the press on that last possession.
Sullivan again from the corner. And again, he's off the mark. And again, Brown tracks it down. Now Jonathan Hahn has the assignment of tracking Brown along the baseline.
Remember, Brown's comfortable taking guys into the post to post them up, but now on the defensive switch, he's got a bigger guy on him.
At 6'4", one of the larger, more skilled guards in the MAAC tournament. 5 on the shot clock. He's got himself in trouble. And he stepped on the end line.
Tremendous defense by the Stags to force him deep into the corner. Here came the trap of 2 defenders, and then he ran out of room along the baseline. See his heel right there on the line. Brian O'Connell right on top of it. Pointing exactly where he stepped. Yep. Right there.
Good call and good camera work to get that shot. Fairfield on top by 4. Marty O'Sullivan into the game for the first time here in the second half.
There you see Fairfield trying to be aggressive, but they've got to lay up fine. If not, back it back out and play at the pace that they want. Tempo's gotten away from them a bit here in the second half. It's been more end-to-end action, which favors Loyola.
Blocking foul against Hassan Fofana. Van Scoik going hard at the basket. On the switch, he had Harvey defending him, and so once he got by Harvey, Fofana was the one who stepped up to try and stop him. Well, if Hassan had not come down with his left arm, maybe he would have gotten that call. Instead, he picks up the personal, and Van Scoik at 85% back to the line to shoot 2.
Leads the MAAC, and so when he is able to put the ball to the floor and get himself into the lane and pick up fouls, it becomes just about an automatic 2.
He is the best free throw shooter in Stags history, and he has shown that here this evening. He is a perfect 4 for 4 from the line, now 18 points.
Stags back into the 2-3 zone, so we've seen man 2-3, 1-3-1. Again, different looks coming up the court defensively for Fairfield.
Sullivan from the right corner for 3.
Doesn't matter though, no matter what zone you're in, man to man, you got to close quickly on Marquis Sullivan. Just as Van Scoik is heated up here in the second half, so has Sullivan. He now has 16.
It's back to a 3-point ball game. O'Sullivan faked the backdoor pass. Now Anthony Johnson on the curl has it knocked away by Brown. Fairfield will keep and have 19 seconds on the shot clock with which to work.
Well, both these teams run the flex against man-to-man, but you see Loyola spread the floor out of their flex, and Fairfield gets so tight with that flex.
Alujevic back in. Fofana goes out.
Everybody talk about spacing, and most times you want to keep things wide, but they're very content to tighten things up out of their flex. They do a great job of pounding it inside.
Shot clock at 6. Herbie Allen, bounce pass. O'Sullivan had a clear shot to the basket, but lost the dribble. Shot clock goes off, but play continues because the Greyhounds got possession. And now down 3, a chance to tie it for the Greyhounds. Nice job by Anthony Johnson to hedge and get the ball out of the hands of Gerald Brown.
Yeah, and he's quick enough and athletic enough to come hedge on that high ball screen.
10 to shoot. Brown looking to go one-on-one. Again, that same set. Johnson slows him up. Here's Harvey with the ball, forcing the 3. Nice defense by the Stags, and here comes Van Scoik. Blocking foul and a chance for a 3-point play.
And that'll get the student section back up on their feet. Another tough finish by Van Scoik, who's starting to take over the game here in the second half. Van Scoik on one end and Marquise Sullivan on the other, starting to heat up coming down the stretch.
At the half, Van Scoik had just 4 points. He now has 20 with a chance to make it 21. Fairfield looking for the upset and a spot in the MAAC semifinals, on top by
5. Every choice really does make a difference. In you. In how you see the world. In where you'll go and what you'll do. In the people you'll touch. In the lives you'll change. Including yours. Niagara University. Education that makes a difference.
Welcome back to Bridgeport, Connecticut. Fairfield, the home team in the MAAC tournament, holding on to a 5-point lead as we head to the later stages of this quarterfinal. And let's take a look at our Pepsi Slam of the game. It was in the first half off a terrific feed from Michael Van Scoik to Anthony Johnson. That Fairfield Stags connection, our Pepsi Slam of the game. Pepsi more happy.
It was Anthony Johnson with the big first half as he had 10 points, just 1 point here in the second half, but they haven't needed his scoring because the guy at the line has certainly given him that scoring punch. 16 points here in the second half from Michael Van Scoik.
And while Van Scoik has lit it up in the second half, Gerald Brown has gone silent in the second half.
Yeah, not only not just scoring a basketball, not finding shots, just 0 for 1 from the field here in this second half.
Hard to believe. He has just 11 points on the game. 1 free throw since the intermission, and that's it.
And Loyola hanging around because of the shooting ability of Marquise Sullivan. Turnover. We've seen Israel lose control of the basketball a couple of times. That time it turned into a turnover.
Following up on our stat track here in the second half, Fairfield continues to light it up, led by Michael Van Scoik.
And this against the defense. So we look at the points in the paint, continue to dominate inside. Second chance points. Loyola getting after it on the offensive board. You look at that field goal shooting percentage for Fairfield, though. Loyola tops in the MAAC as far as field goal percentage defense is concerned, coming in and holding down opponents to just 41% throughout the season.
But Ed Cooley's club has been on a terrific roll the second half of the season. They get themselves the number 6 seed in the tournament. They actually finished 5th in the standings, tied with Manhattan, but the Jaspers won the tiebreaker. But Fairfield looking to move on to the semi.
Anthony Johnson coming up to give him some support to help him break the full court pressure.
Michael Van Scoik shoots up an air ball. Nice time that time by Sullivan to get out on him. Brown posting Van Scoik, who commits the reach-around foul.
And he's struggling to shoot the ball from the outside. As we said, he's comfortable to get himself into the post and post up.
That's just the 15th foul against Fairfield here in the second half, and only the first against Van Scoik. So a non-shooting foul. Brown off the inbound, hits the three.
He started to talk about how quiet he's been. Well, he makes some noise there, finding a shot off the baseline out of bounds. Good execution to find the 14th point for Brown.
Greg Nero with the basketball to another freshman, Anthony Johnson. Van Scoik was trying to post up Sullivan but couldn't get the ball from his teammate. Here's Allen from 15. The hustle by Anthony Johnson again to knock it out to Hahn.
And that's all it was, a hustle play, the effort and energy that we saw right from the start of this game from the young freshman.
Under 6.5 remaining in regulation. Loyola led at halftime, 34-33. Fairfield, though, with a quick burst coming out of the locker room, retook the lead and has led the entire second half. That's a reaching foul on Brown.
And a terrific feed from Nero, able to find his teammate inside. Watch Nero right here. As soon as he catches the ball, quick feed inside to the wide open Johnson. Good recovery to get a hand on it, force him to earn the 2 from the line.
Fourth foul on Gerald Brown with 6:14 to go.
Now remember, he played a long stretch of the first half with 2 fouls. He's going to have to once again keep himself away from another foul.
This season, Aeropostal is donating a t-shirt for every free throw made during conference play to youth groups in the MAAC community. Thank you very much, Aeropostal. Johnson gets 1 out of 2, but the big story here, do you keep Gerald Brown on the floor and try and run him for the next 6 minutes with those 4 fouls?
Well, they were able to do that in the first half when he played extended minutes with 2 fouls.
Alujevic. That was blocked by Anthony Johnson. Israel with the putback. 11 points now for the Notre Dame transfer.
Another second chance opportunity for Loyola. Outside shooting of Marquise Sullivan and their offensive rebounding have kept them in the game. Stags have been able to convert at a high rate in their half-court offense.
Allen, tough pass to handle for Van Scoik. 10 to shoot, he fires it up, and he hits it.
And that was the defender right on top of him. Looked like Marquise Sullivan may have even gotten a piece of the arm or the ball on that defensive challenge.
Van Scoik now with 24 points. He's 3 off of his career high. Brown. And he'll go back to the line to shoot 2.
Well, he said one of our keys was to find somebody else to be like Mike. Well, if he's going to play the way he's played in the second half, maybe he doesn't need any help, a la Michael Jordan.
And you know what? For as well as Van Scoik's done it on the offensive end here in the second half, he's been chasing Gerald Brown pretty effectively, and that matchup certainly has gone in favor of Michael Van Scoik.
And Sullivan's been chasing him on the defensive end the other way. So the 2 guys that have really stepped up to provide the scoring here in the second half are also the guys with the toughest defensive assignment out on the floor.
O'Sullivan comes back into the game. And Anthony Johnson going down to the end of the Fairfield bench. Looks like he's going to receive a little treatment on that left leg from the training staff.
Yeah, trainer Mark Ayotte right on top of it. Looked like it may have been a cramp as they were stretching out his calf muscle. Longtime trainer here at Fairfield, Mark Ayotte, working on Johnson.
And he has played a tremendous game. Had a couple of dunks early. He's got 12 points now, and at 6'8", 215 has really provided a physical presence to help to match and exceed the inside presence for Loyola.
And Scoik thought about it. Alujevic able to come out and close out. Now they've got the mismatch. Alujevic with a defensive assignment right now on Van Scoik.
Backdoor look, O'Sullivan, and an offensive foul.
And They needed to recognize that and try and take advantage. Instead, they went away from Van Scoik, who was on the right side. Instead, turned it over with the charge. You got a mismatch like that. You're the point guard, Hahn. You got to find it. Well, Gerald Brown, I'll tell you what, could have been his 5th foul stepping in, but credit Brown for playing the defense.
Looked like he was taking the ST plunge there. But he gets the foul instead called on O'Sullivan. And Loyola down 3 with a basketball.
Guarantee you, Jimmy Patsos holding his breath on that whistle.
Credit Brown for staying in there and mixing it up. Brown into a double team. Nice job to get it out to Israel.
On the high ball screens, they've started to double team Brown, so he goes away from the screen to find the lane.
It's a 1-point game on the Israel tip-in.
And again, they've gotten it done on the offensive boards. They've been able to hang in here with the Stags, despite the fact that Fairfield's been so good on the offensive end. Loyola's been able to hang in with their offensive rebound.
And the crowd that's made the trip from Baltimore to here in Bridgeport, Connecticut, fired up because the Greyhounds are only down a point.
And a decent crowd as well making the long trip up here.
We'll take a break with 4:09 left in regulation. These two are going down to the wire for a spot in the MAAC semifinals.
Success comes true.
St. Peter's College, success is a team effort. St. Peter's College, education one student at a time.
Fairfield clinging to a 1-point lead, 4:09 left to go in regulation. And the passion of Loyola coach Jimmy Patsos invigorates not only his teammates, or rather his players, but I'm telling you, Rob, the number of Loyola fans here in this building, I don't remember ever having so many people from Baltimore in the stands, especially for a quarterfinal game. This isn't a championship game where everybody hops on a plane and gets there so they can celebrate on a Monday night. There are people making a weekend of it, in large part because of Jimmy Patsos.
I agree with you. I mean, there may be more fans in this building here for the quarterfinal game in Bridgeport, Connecticut, than there were for most of their home games the year before Jimmy Patsos got there.
No question about it. In their home arena down in Baltimore, attendance is up 117%. Really hard to imagine, and a lot of those folks also travel with the team. Offensive foul against Nero.
Well, back-to-back charges against Ed Cooley's team. Nero being aggressive, going at the rim, but he picks up his 5th foul.
So Nero's night is done with 15 points. And that leads us to break. Nero called for the charge, and we'll take a break here at the arena at Harbor Yard.
A college that builds competence and character, where you're part of a team. A place of academic rigor that builds leaders, offering opportunity and values that prepare you for change, leadership, and life. The tradition, the community of Siena, educating for success, one student at a time.
1-point lead as Greg Nero is fouled out of the ball game.
And a tough call at that. You see the defender clearly sliding over. Nero had no place to turn. You can see Ed Cooley's upset, and I think he's got a right to be upset. Getting after it with Bill McCarthy. That was a tough call. Turns into a turnover. You take Greg Nero out of the game with his 5th foul, his 15 points, his scoring inside. Nothing worked out well for the Stags on that play.
So now Loyola with the ball back and a chance to retake the lead.
Sullivan thought about it.
Tough assignment for O'Sullivan, trying to keep with Brown. Does a nice job staying with him. Alujevic gives the Greyhounds the lead.
A perfect kick out by Gerald Brown. You talked about it. Scores 22 a game, but he's not a selfish player. You saw it on that play. Draws the defense and then kicks it out to Alujevic, the 37% shooter from beyond the three.
Well, Loyola led at halftime by a point. First time they've gotten the lead back. O'Sullivan, tough shot. Alujevic with a big rebound.
They've gone away from Michael Van Scoy coming down the stretch. Big situations. He's got to get touches.
3 minutes left in regulation. The winner of this will take on Niagara in tomorrow night's second semifinal here in Bridgeport. Brett Harvey, the freshman point guard, with the basketball. And again, you've got that matchup with O'Sullivan by himself defending Brown on the wing with 3 to shoot. A three-pointer is good by Brown, and the lead is 5.
Loyola in the run, knocking down a couple huge threes. They get that mismatch because they're switching out of the man-to-man defense against the flex.
Hahn penetrates, puts it up, and a chance for his own three-point play.
Wow. Talk about a tough finish. Jonathan Hahn able to turn the corner, take the contact, and throw it high off the glass.
Well, the sophomore from Brooklyn with a big shot and a big free throw upcoming.
There's that isolation one-on-one with the mismatch. Gerald Brown able to pull the deep three. And look at this finish from Hahn, going up, getting knocked down, nearly does a somersault. You see his eyes are on the rim saying, did that basketball go? Indeed it did. An opportunity to cut the lead down to 2.
Jimmy Patsos, the Loyola coach, said earlier this week that he recruited Jonathan Hahn hard. He really wanted him to be a Greyhound. And now Fairfield, off the missed free throw, gets it back and calls timeout.
Well, see, we said Michael Van Scoy needed to get touches. He went and got himself a touch on the offensive rebound on the missed foul shot.
71-68, Loyola has taken the lead. And the Stags trying to answer back, but Gerald Brown has gotten himself back into the ball game after a very slow start to the second half.
Remember, Loyola closed the first half with a flurry. They were behind most of the first half, got their first lead in the first half on a deep three late. Jonathan Hahn, as we said, with a big shot right here. Takes the contact from Israel. Wasn't able to finish off the three-point play, but Fairfield able to keep possession of the basketball because of the good hustle by Van Scoy.
Gerald Brown leads the Greyhounds with 19 points. 4 different Loyola players into double figures tonight. Sullivan's got 16, Israel 13, and 10 for Alujevic. Michael Van Scoy to inbound from near midcourt.
And he's got to get a touch on this offensive possession. One of the reasons why Ed Cooley took the timeout, to remind his guys, don't forget about the guy who's taken us here and carried us all throughout this stretch run.
Mamadou Shahate in the game, as well as Herbie Allen, and Anthony Johnson also back on the floor. So O'Sullivan has been put back to the bench. And Ed Cooley looking for a way to get the ball to Michael Van Scoy in a good position to shoot. Hahn, bad pass, out of bounds.
And not the execution you're looking for coming out of the timeout. Just took too long to get anything going on the offensive end.
Didn't start that until about 9 seconds left in the shot clock. He left his feet, and Van Scoy was well defended.
And it was an important possession. That's why they took the timeout. Fairfield trying to extend the floor defensively with the pressure.
Loyola forced to use a timeout. And with 1:38 to go, they'll talk it over.
That's where Fairfield's been so good late in the season, being able to execute late in the game and make big plays. Loyola still with 3 timeouts, Fairfield with 2. Those will be very important, as it looks like we're going to come down possession by possession. As the witching hour approaches here in Bridgeport, nearly midnight.
We're winding down our fourth of the 4 MAAC quarterfinal games here this evening.
Well, this is not what they were looking for out of the timeout. Took forever to get into their offensive set. Hahn got himself off the floor, was looking for Van Scoik, but it did not come out of the context of their offense. And as you're pointing down to your sheet right there to Marquise Sullivan, you're right. Marquise Sullivan has been the guy who's carried him offensively here in this second half. Also doing it defensively. He's had the defensive assignment against Van Scoik.
Harvey nearly turned it over. Ball wound up lodged between his knees. Inadvertently, of course, and he somehow kept possession.
And the Stags stay in the trapping defense now in the half court.
Shot clock at 6. Sullivan gets it out to Brown. He's got a long ways to go, and there's a steal. Playing safety was Mamadou Shahate, and the interception with just over a minute to go.
Well, they're in the full court pressure defensively, and then out of the timeout, they mix it up and stay with the pressure trapping defense in the half court.
Van Scoik with a wild shot. Fairfield trying way too hard to get a 3 up right now.
Yeah, settle down, have your composure again. Shot clock down to 10 seconds here. They've got to execute late in the shot clock.
Hahn drops it off. Johnson blocked and called for the foul is Omari Israel, who is livid. But an unbelievable shot by Van Scoik before that. Why on earth are they trying to take that shot? Then with the shot clock winding down, fortunate to get to go to the line to shoot 2.
Take a look at the defensive rotation. Some contact down low. Clean block up top. But Van Scoik thought he was fouled coming off that, and I think he was looking to try and beg his way into a potential 3-shot foul opportunity. Those where you got to play with boys. They've done that all season long. Coming down the stretch, have the Stags. They play close and give themselves an opportunity to make plays late.
Johnson, a 65% foul shooter, only gets 1 of 2, and Van Scoik with a huge offensive rebound.
His second offensive rebound off missed foul shots. Now Ed Cooley's going to take a timeout. Let's see if his team can execute better in their half-court set than they did the last time out of their timeout.
Well, this building has a little bit of the feel of old Alumni Hall on the Fairfield University campus. They've brought the students here tonight for this MAAC quarterfinal, and they have responded, and the players have fed off of that energy, Rob.
Yeah, there's been great energy from both these teams. It's been a hard-fought game as we take a look. Fairfield down to just 1 timeout. Remember, they've got to execute here now, Doug. The key is for them to get into their offensive set. They stood around too late. By the time they got into anything, the shot clock was down to single digits.
Well, the last couple of times it's looked like the set is Hahn penetrate and try and kick and find Van Scoik. Should they do something else to try and get Van Scoik a better looking shot?
Well, they're so effective out of their flex. Get into your regular sets. But remember, with Nero fouling out, he's one of your options to post it up inside. He's no longer there, but just run through your offense. Van Scoik's very good at running off screens. Certainly Marquise Sullivan has been chasing them all over the place, especially late here in the second half to shut down Van Scoik after he went through a stretch to start the second half where he was on fire.
Oh, Van Scoik leads all scorers with 24 points, but like you say, he's been stuck on 24 for a few minutes. So out of the timeout, 31 seconds on the shot clock, 38.9 as you see on the game clock. Fairfield with the basketball can go for 2 for a tie or 3 to try and take the lead.
Well, certainly they're just going to try and find the first good shot. 2 or 3 doesn't matter.
Either way, Fairfield would love for Michael Van Scoik to be the one to take that shot.
First thing you got to do is inbound the basketball side out of bounds. Can't lose track of Van Scoik after he gets it in. Many times you'll see a quick hitter coming off the sideline out of bounds involving the inbounder.
Now the 2 sophomore point guards, Herbie Allen and Jonathan Hahn, in the ball game. In the backcourt against the pressure now. Hahn trying to dribble up. Here's Van Scoik. He's going to be open for a 3. Can't get the roll. And the foul given by the Stags.
Well, the gamble by Loyola nearly backfired. They came out and were pressing the basketball into backcourt. Van Scoik got a wide open look from 3 because of the scramble defense. If you're Fairfield, can't get a better shot than that, but it didn't work out. Came up short.
Well, clearly Ed Cooley happy to get this shot. He'll take that every time. And then Anthony Johnson, watch him here with Alujevic down on the ground. A little more of that extracurricular that we have seen here tonight between these two teams. Good job by the officials that time to step right in, and Alujevic at the line, where on the year, as you see, a 62% foul shooter.
He hit a huge 3 during that run to get them the lead here late in the second half.
And he'll get the bonus.
Now the 5th-year senior, one of the leaders for Jimmy Patso's team, stepping up and hitting a big foul shot. Fairfield miss or make, still plenty of time, but they've got to get into their offense early.
Alujevic is the captain of this team, trying to make it a 2-possession game, and he does with a perfect swish.
Jimmy Patsos, you see, saying calm down to his team. This one certainly is not over, especially with the 3-point shooting ability of Michael Van Scoik. As we said, Fairfield still plenty of time. Alujevic is 62% shooter on the season, but a perfect 100% on those 2 big foul shots.
With the interlocked arms, Michael Tuck, Hassan Fofana, Sean James. And then the chest bump with Tuck and Alujevic. We have had that kind of energy at now 12:05 a.m. This building continues to rock. The first time the MAAC tournament has come here to Bridgeport. And so far, terrific energy in the building.
And Loyola once again up in the full court pressure. Nearly backfired the last time out as Van Scoik found himself an open look. You want to get up and bother, but you're not going to go and try and trap it. If you do, you certainly give Fairfield an opportunity to maybe find another open look.
Van Scoik, the long pass into the front court. Pressure broken. Mamadou Shahate with the ball. Here's Allen. Bounce pass handled by Anthony Johnson, but he missed it. And Alujevic with another big rebound. With under 18 seconds to go, the senior captain will go back to the other end with a chance for 2 more free throws.
And Fairfield can't get a better shot than that. Once again, able to get up the floor against the pressure defense. Able to get the nice look inside. Jimmy Patsos' team able to come up with a couple stops here late by rebounding the basketball. It wasn't their initial defense because Fairfield got 2 very good looks at it. The missed 3 by Van Scoik, and then can't get a better shot, as we said, inside for Johnson, deep in the paint.
No doubt about that. And at the other end, Alujevic with 3 straight free throws. None has hit the rim. Our Pepsi player of the game, Gerald Brown. Pepsi more happy.
And certainly Gerald Brown with a big game with his 19 points, but he needs to share that award with Marquise Sullivan. Sullivan, the guy that got them going in the second half when Brown was stuck down, and then Sullivan with terrific defense against Van Scoik late in the game.
Hahn's pass eventually comes to Allen, who hits the 3 with 8.8 on the clock.
Still alive, back down to a 1-possession game. They needed a 3 right there, able to drive along the baseline to kick out. Fairfield now out of timeouts with 8.8 seconds. Ed Cooley's team's got to get up into full court pressure and try and force the turnover.
Well, you could read his lips. We're going for the steal.
Yep.
And then obviously if you don't get it on the inbound, the immediate foul you got to give up.
And they're still alive because they get a 3 on this possession. Hahn gets himself deep into the lane. Dump off. Smart kick out by Shahate. Able to find the open look from 3.
Fairfield out of timeouts. And you see the possession arrow favoring the Greyhounds.
And Loyola with 2 timeouts, so if they have trouble inbounding the basketball, you got to call the quick timeout to save possession.
Gerald Brown, 3 under his season average with his 19 points tonight. The Greyhounds have done a terrific job, as have the Stags, from beyond the 3-point line. And let's see if Fairfield can come up with the steal on the inbound. Israel uses one of those 2 timeouts.
That's why it's so important to have those in hand coming down the stretch. Fairfield with good solid pressure defense to force the timeout.
Gerald Brown explaining to Jimmy Patsos why he couldn't get open. He had my shirt, and as evidence, well, his shirt was untucked. So only 1 timeout remaining now for Loyola. And Jimmy Patsos again trying to set something up to make sure they can get that ball in bounds.
That's the only thing you're worrying about right here. Don't turn it over. Get the ball in bounds. You know if you are able to get the ball in, there's going to be a quick foul, and then you've got to go convert from the line. They've been able to do that late in the ball game.
And you still got the 1 timeout, so you don't have to make a bad pass. You still have that bailout one more time.
And on the last play, Alujevic trying to post up in the paint, make himself available after setting the screen for Harvey.
Israel runs the baseline. Here's the baseball pass to Brown, who is fouled immediately by Shahate. Nice job by Brown to play wide receiver, circle under that pass, and make the catch.
Yeah, you've got that right. That was up there for a long time, and it was up for grabs. Wide receiver and a defensive back going at it. Brown able to come up with the long pass. And I tell you what, if you ask Jimmy Patsos before the game, it's a 3-point game with 8 seconds left. Who do you want on the line? Guarantee you he'd say, I want Gerald Brown there to finish it off.
Well, that puts the pressure on the next one. He does indeed get number 2, back to a 4-point game.
Remember, Fairfield out of timeouts. They need a miracle here late.
Van Scoik for 3. It's no good. And the Greyhounds survive and advance. What a game here in the MAAC quarterfinals. Jimmy Patsos has his club in the semifinals for tomorrow night, where they will take on Niagara.
Oh, perfect description there, Doug. Survive and advance. They survived a terrific effort from the home team, Fairfield Stags. Fairfield really executed out of the half-court offense, led by Michael Van Scoik, but Gerald Brown, the leading scorer in the MAAC, and his teammates able to get the win for Jimmy Patsos.
We'll take a break and come back with an interview with the victorious coach of the Loyola Greyhounds, Jimmy Patsos. Stay with us here on the MAAC Television Network.